I'm Russ Miller, and we are talking today about the new MAPEX Panther Versatus snare drum. My primary inspiration for the Versatus snare was versatility, and that's how we came up with the name. Versatus is a form of the word versatile in Latin, and what I mean by versatility is a primary snare drum, a great all-around drum that we start with for every gig and every session. Works great for everything we're doing, and then if we have to go to extremes in our snare drum collection, we can do that. My goal in looking into a drum design of that nature was to look at the three components of a drum that I look at the most when I choose an instrument, and that is sound, feel, and flexibility. So the sound of the Versatus snare was designed to be very clean and very natural. What I mean by that is no muffling necessary, no tape, no gels, anything like that. To do that, I used a percentage of the shell as mahogany wood, and it's a hybrid shell of maple and mahogany. 2 plies of inner maple, 3 plies of mahogany in the center, and then the outside 2 plies are maple again. So it's a hybrid shell. On the very outside is the exotic rosewood burl. So that's the final ply. So it's a 7-ply drum with a veneer, so 8 plies total. The mahogany helps dry that drum up a bit, and it also creates a nice fat sound to it, great when it's tuned really low. That hybrid shell really helps a lot because the maple helps cut through the band and also gives you a wider tuning range. There's also a lot more attack if there's a percentage of maple in the shell as well. So the next part of the sound was something that's never been done before, using a sound reinforcement ring on the top only, on the batter side only of the drum. Now normally reinforcement rings are used top and bottom to support thin shells. We're not using it for shell support here. We're using it to help dry the drum up, because having that 4-ply maple reinforcement ring at the top puts an 11-ply shell at the batter point. So it's a much thicker shell, more wood to move. You can create a bigger sound at rim shots, but dry up overtones and overrings on small notes. So that we're using the sound reinforcement ring for the sonics of the drum and not for the stability of the shell. The other thing that really affects the sound of the Versatus snare is the Puresound snares underneath. Now, Puresound snares are a very high quality sort of designer level snare that are made very, very well. The curls are lined up perfectly. They're cut exactly to length and welded perfectly to length. So what you're going to notice is the small notes are very clean. You hear no snare flutter in there whatsoever. And the bigger notes are clean as well. You hear no extraneous snare buzz or anything. Having the Puresound snare also helps with the resonance from the toms. If your snare rings a lot when you play the toms, it's because of the snare element under the drum. So having the Puresound snare, it's a P1416 Puresound snare that ships with the drum. So it's a very clean and precise sound, perfect for recording and over any sort of microphone. It translates really, really well. The next part of the Versatus snare is the feel of the drum. Now, the feel of any drum is really a combination of the density of the shell versus the depth versus diameter. The other thing that affects the feel of the Versatus snare is the additional vent holes. There's multiple vent holes in here, and that extra air release affects the feel of the drum, and it also helps dry up some of the resonance of the drum as well, and that helps not to need any muffling, like I said, any tape or gels, anything. Out of the box, the drum sounds like it's ready to record. The way that I started to work on finding the perfect feel for this drum was to choose the shell first. Then we made that a 7x14 shell, and field testing over about 1.5 years, we would make new prototypes down 1/4 inch, down 1/2 inch, down a whole inch, and just kept chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. We ended up at that 4 5/8 depth. For that reason, we just kept shaving that shell down until we got that beautiful, puffy, fat sort of feel out of the drum when you play it. It has a nice pop and a nice presence to it in any style. The MAPEX Sonic Saver hoops also have an effect on the feel of the drum. They definitely affect the sound as well. Punchy, more driving with the inward bent hoops. Finally, because we named it Versatus, meaning versatile in Latin, the flexibility of the drum is really important. Now, I think it works so well in so many different styles, and part of that is because of the dramatic tuning range of the drum. You can tune it really, really low, and with the 4 5/8 depth, it still punches and drives with a really low tuning. Great for rock playing. One of the other attributes of this drum is the staggered lugs. Now, by staggering the lugs, instead of having them top to bottom like this, where the tension rods butt up against each other and it limits the tuning range, we staggered them. So now you have the full range of the tension rods in both directions, so you can tune the drum very high if you want. Of course, the character of a drum really comes out the most in its mid to mid-high tuning. That's where you really hear what a drum sounds like. And the Versatus snare, to me, is just a perfect snare drum sound for general playing. Because the drum is dry, the extra vent holes and the mahogany in the shell, one of the things that I love about this drum is the snare's off sound. One of the things that we did as well with the Versatus snare was MAPEX wanted to ship it with the exact heads that I recommended for the drum. Now on the snare side, that's a Remo snare side Ambassador, and on the batter side, it's a Remo Fiberskin 3 Diplomat. Now the Fiberskin 3 Diplomat has a great natural compressed sound that works great over microphones. But because of the Fiberskin 3 coating, it's by far the best brush head on the market to get a nice projecting, smooth brush tone. And one of the things that also affects the flexibility of this drum is how we've created such a beautiful, articulate, small sound, and that's done by the extra deep snare bed. It's a 3.0 millimeter snare bed. It's a little bit deeper than most beds on the market, and that creates a very small, articulate ghost note sound. The Versatus snare comes standard with the Sonic Clear bearing edge, another MAPEX innovation. And the Sonic Clear bearing edge helps the drum seat very well with the heads. It's got a round countercut on the outside, the head lays flat, spins no problem, tunes really easily. Now we adjusted that snare bearing edge just a little bit, where we have the Sonic Clear 45 on the batter side. The 45-degree edge gives you more attack and drive to cut through the music. But with the Versatus snare, we put a 35-degree bearing edge on the snare side, so that sharper edge helps to get that articulate, sensitive sound out of the drum. When you get to a rim shot sound, the drum has a big fat spread to it. So from very small to very big. I just want to encourage everybody to take a minute and check out the new MAPEX Black Panther Versatus snare drum, another great innovation from MAPEX Drums.